All right, we'll get in a fundamental view on the equity markets then. We're joined by Vishal Goyal, who's Executive Director at UBS Securities. And to begin with, Vishal, you've got your investor conference on right now. What are the financials that you are showcasing at this conference?
I think we have almost like 17, 18 finance companies, including banks, in the conference, and mood is pretty much, you can say, average, because people are cautious about asset quality, but at the same time they are confident on their own loan loss provisions, etc. But I think ICICI Bank has been pretty confident on their asset quality. That is one worth highlighting. Plus Federal Bank also has been very confident about the progress they are making on the ground. Plus on asset quality also, I think they are sounding much more confident than last quarter.
Vishal, so staying with the financial space, then how grave do you think the NPA concerns are for this sector? Because it certainly has been a major overhang.
I think we've also been cautious about NPAs for some time, and also in our recent note we highlighted increased risk from even new sectors like iron, steel, metals, apart from the old sectors of like infra, power, textiles. So I think the problem is only getting worse. That is definitely our view as well. And NPL plus restructuring, I think both will keep going up. In fact, if you notice, the SBI result has been fairly worrisome, because most of the NPL accretion for them has come from mid-corp and SME segment, which is, I mean, clear reflective of the on-the-ground slowdown on economy. And we don't see any chance of economy moving up or improving in next 2-3 quarters, and therefore I think the concern would stay.
Right. And Vishal, what's your view on public sector banks? Because we did see stock prices come under pressure, mainly on account of NPA concerns. Among the PSU pack, which are your best picks?
I think we've been kind of negative about PSU banks for some time. I think SBI still remains kind of, I mean, in our view, it's a sell. BOI is a sell for us. The names which we like over here could be BOB and maybe to some extent PNB, but I think PNB will still have more NPAs to come. But I think on a whole, BOB and OBC looks better, both in terms of valuation and plus on a relative asset quality.
Apart from the PSU banks, you have some of the private banks which are now also facing lots of NPA concerns. Case in point being the MS downgrade that you had on Axis Bank, which reeled under pressure yesterday. What's your view on the private banking space? Are you buying any stocks or are you avoiding them?
I think among private banks, our preference is towards HDFC Bank, IndusInd Bank and Federal Bank kind of names. Axis is, you can say, our least preferred name among private banks, because we are really worried about the asset quality issues which are coming up in sense from SME and mid-corp for the sector as a whole, and that I think could hit Axis Bank in coming quarters.
And lastly, Vishal, non-banking finance companies, what's your call over there? Because some stocks like Shriram Transport are witnessing upgrades.
I think on the finance company side, there is a divide of, let's say, infra finance companies and consumer finance, which is basically more like either car loans or even CV loans. So I think CV and car loans are to some extent at less risk. So Shriram has been highlighting the NPL risk for some time. And I think especially after this Bellary mines basically getting reallocated, I think that's when I think Shriram could also benefit, because they had some NPLs coming out of that place. So I think Shriram could be a decent pick from here, purely because they have more granular book, and it is more like a slowdown led NPL cycle for them as well. So they will see NPL accretion, but it will not be out of hand actually. It will be pretty manageable.
Alright, we'll leave it at that. Thanks very much for joining in, Vishal, with that perspective. That's a UBS Security view. Investors rather cautious on the asset quality for banks, but ICICI Bank, Federal Bank are some of the top picks in the sector, as is HDFC Bank and IndusInd.